Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Factoring Review. Now, guess what side I'm going to do? The left side. That's right, the ones that we do together. So this is just kind of a reminder of how we're supposed to be factoring. So for number one, the first thing we always want to check, is there a GCF? And is there? No. So I need to do A times C, and I get 42. So if you don't know all the factors of 42, you would sit down and write 1 and 42. 2, I think, and oh my gosh, I can't even get it off the top of my head because I'm so tired. So I'm just going to go here so I can quit this. 42 divided by 2, I know it's something with a 6. Oh, it's not even with a 6. It's 21, Mr. Grice. See, that's how tired I am. 21. Okay. 3 and what? Well, I don't know. I've already said I'm tired, so I'm just going to use a calculator. Okay, good. 3 and 14. 4, no. 5, no. And then 6 and 7. Okay, so sorry about that. So if you don't know, that's the first thing to do. Now, you're looking for numbers that multiply to a negative 42 and add to get to a negative 1. Okay? Because when I multiply those two, it is negative 42. Okay? And my negative 1 comes from my b term. So which set of numbers do I get that from? Yeah, okay. So 6 and 7. Now, which one's negative? Well, one of them has to be negative, okay? And it's going to be the negative 7 because we get a negative 1. Now, since my leading coefficient, okay, this number is a 1, I can do the shortcut. So the shortcut, we put x right here, and then it's just whatever these numbers are. We get it's a positive 6 and a negative 7. And that's it. Okay. Let's look at number 3. So the first thing we always check for is GCF. And there is a GCF, okay? I can divide all of these by 3. So my GCF comes out front, and what's left over? Well, 3 divided by 3, we're left with x squared. Negative 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 18 divided by 3, we get 6. Okay? Now that we've done that, we want to do the a times c again. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get to 6 and add to get to negative 5. Okay? So if you don't know the factors, that's when you would go out and write down, well, 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. All right, and what's it going to be? Yeah, okay. 2 and 3, except you got to look at their bottom. They both have to be negative. Okay, what's my leading coefficient? Yeah, it's 1, okay? So don't forget your GCF, and then I can break this down into x minus 2 and x minus 3. I can go right into my answer. And I can only do that because our leading coefficient was 1. Okay, number 5. So there's a binomial. The first thing I have to do is check for GCF. And there's no GCF. So then it's a binomial, it's quadratic, and there's subtraction. So I need to check if I can square root both of those. And I can. So the square root of 25g squared is 5g. And then I do my signs. One's a positive and one's a negative. And then the square root of 9 is 3. Okay? So remember, take the square root, take the square root, and that's how I get those numbers. And that's our answer. Okay? Number 7. Okay? Now don't get super excited that it's a quadratic binomial with subtraction and that you can square it, because the first rule is what? Check for a GCF. Okay? And I can take out a 9. The 9 comes out front, and we're left with 9a squared minus 1. Okay? And remember, check if we can do anything more. It's quadratic, it's a binomial, there's subtraction, and I can square root both of those. You can take the square root of 1. Okay, so don't forget your 9. The square root of 9a squared is 3a. 1's positive, 1's negative. The square root of 1 is 1. And there you go. All right, number 9. So the first thing we always want to check for is GCF. And there is no number that goes into everything. All right, so I have to do 4 times 6, which is 24. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get to 24 and add to get to 11. So if you don't know them, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Which set is it? Yeah, you should get 3 and 8. So 3 times 8 gives us 24, and 3 plus 8 gives us 11. So, leading coefficient, yeah, it's 4. So that means I have to split the middle term. I get 4y squared plus 3y plus 8y plus 6. Okay, so we're going to draw the line. And now I have to take the GCF of the first group. What goes into both 4y squared and 3y? Well, the only thing I see is a variable. So my variable comes out front, and then I'm left with 4y plus 3. Okay, now what about the back? What goes into both 8y and 6? Yeah, it's 2. And that's a positive 2. 8y divided by 2 is 4y. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, we have to check, do those match up? Yes, they do. That means we did it right. So our answer is 4y plus 3, and then whatever was left in red, and that is our y plus 2. Okay, those come together to form our other binomial. Hopefully this is a review for you guys. All right, number 11. So the first thing we need to check, is there a GCF? Guys, they're all even numbers, so of course there's a GCF. I can take out a 2. So the 2 comes out front, and we're left with 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. Okay, I need to multiply a times c. So you're looking for numbers that multiply to get to 3 and add to get to 4. Okay, well, we're doing a combination of 1 and 3 because those are the only factors of 3. And does that work? Yep, it works for both. Now, I don't want to forget about the 2, so I'm going to come down and drop it into my answer because I know that's what my answer is going to look like. Okay? So now we have to split that middle term. We get 3x squared plus 1x plus 3x plus 1. Okay, so what's the GCF of 3x squared and 1x? Yeah, they both have x's. Okay, so my GCF comes out front, and I'm left with 3x plus 1. But what's the GCF at the back? They don't have variables. One does, the other doesn't. Remember, if this happens, you can always take out a 1. So I can take out a positive 1, and then 3x divided by 1 is 3x. 1 divided by 1 is 1. And then if you look, just like I wanted to, my 2 binomials right here, yeah, they match. That means we did it right. So we have 3x plus 1. And then what our GCFs, what I took out in red, is our second binomial. So 2 parentheses 3x plus 1, and then x plus 1. All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. Number 13. Once again, always check to see if there's a GCF. And there's not. Okay, so I have to do 2 times 15, which gives us 30. So you're looking for numbers that multiply to get to 30 and add to get to negative 11. So if you need to write the numbers down, write them down. 2 and 30, or 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. What's the combination to get to 11? Yeah, 5 and 6. But to get to negative 11, they both have to be negative. Okay, so as I'm splitting the middle term, we get 2x squared minus 5x minus 6x plus 15. Okay, what's the GCF of the first group? Yeah, the only thing you can take out is an x. So the x comes out front, and I'm left with 2x minus 5. Okay, what about the back? Yeah, you can take out a 3. Now, just remember your leading coefficient's negative, so that has to be a negative 3. All right, and then we get 2x, because negative 6 divided by negative 3 is 2x. Positive 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. Did they match? Yeah. Now don't just write the same thing and be like, hey, it matches. Actually do the work. All right. So our first binomial is 2x minus 5. And then the second binomial, the GCFs that we took out, was x minus 3. Now remember, it doesn't matter which order you write those two in. Okay? All right, we're getting there. Number 15. What's the first thing we check for? Yeah, check for GCF. Well, good, they're all even, so that means I can take out a 2. The 2 comes out front, and I'm left with x squared plus 8x plus 15. Always check to see if you can go further. All right, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get to 15 and add to get to 8. Well, the multiples or the factors of 15 are 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Do one of those work? Yeah, 3 and 5. And the nice thing is our leading coefficient, yeah, it's 1. So that means I can go right into saying that this is x plus 3 and x plus 5. All right, number 17. Always check for, that's right, a GCF. So I noticed right away that they both have x's, so I can take out an x. And that, yeah, 9. 9 can go into both of those. So we get 9x out front. 18x squared divided by 9x is 2x. And 9x divided by 9x is not 0. It's 1. Okay? So, what are we left with? We are left with a binomial. Yes. Is it quadratic? No, it's not quadratic. So right now we stop. We're done. This is our answer. All right, number 19. So remember, the first thing we check for is there a GCF? What do you think? Yes, they all have what? Yeah, they all have an X, guys. Come on. So I'm going to take out an X. My GCF comes out front, and we're left with 8x squared minus 6x minus 5. Okay, so now I need to a times c. 8 times negative 5 is a negative 40, and I want them to add up to negative 6. So if you don't know all the multiples, 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. How do I get to negative 6? Yeah, you should be using 4 and 10. Which one has to be negative? Yep, negative 10. And it's got to work for both. Okay? Now, I don't want to forget about the x as my GCF. So I'm going to put that in my answer right away. Now, let's go ahead and split the middle term. We have 8x squared plus 4x minus 10x minus 5. Okay, so the GCF of the first group, I can take out a, yeah, I can take out a 4x. The 4x comes out front. 8x squared divided by 4x is 2x, and 4x divided by 4x is 1. Okay, the GCF of the back, oh, my leading coefficient back here is negative, so that means my GCF is negative. And the number that goes into 10 and 5 is 5. Negative 10x divided by negative 5, a negative divided by negative makes that a positive, and negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive 1. And just like I wanted to, those match, so I get 2x plus 1, and then my other binomial is from my GCFs, the 4x minus 5. All right, 2 more. 21. Always check. Is there a GCF? Yes. Okay, first off, I see they all have x's, so I can take out an x. But 14, 35, and 21, I can take out a, I can take out a 7. So my 7x comes out front, and I'm left with 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Okay, so I need to see if I can go any further. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get to -6 and add to get to -5. Yeah, it's going to be 1 and 6. Okay, and the 6 has to be negative because it's a -5. Okay, I can't do the shortcut here, guys. Okay, I don't want to see you trying to do that. So I'm going to bring the 7x down into my answer right away. And we have to split the middle term. Okay? So we get 2x squared plus 1x minus 6x minus 3. Okay, the GCF of the first group is x. The x comes out front. And inside we get 2x plus 1. Oh, that sounds familiar. Oh yeah, it's just from the last one. Okay. Now, what's the GCF of the back? Remember, it's negative, so you need to pull out a negative, and it's going to be a -3. -6x divided by -3 is a positive 2x, and a negative divided by negative makes that a positive. Okay? Yep, those match. You did it right. So we get 2x plus 1, and then in the back we get x minus 3. All right, last one. So the first thing we do is check for a GCF. Good. Now, I know they both have a, so I can take out an a. And is there a number that goes into both 12 and 75? There is. Yeah, it's the number 3. Okay, so the 3a comes out front. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then we get a squared minus 75 divided by 3 is 5, not 5, 25. And a divided by a, cancel. So we're left with 4a squared minus 25. Now I am new, I'm not done. Okay, so we've already checked for GCF. It's a quadratic binomial with subtraction. Okay, and I can square root both of those. Okay, so 3a comes down, that's part of our answer. The square root of 4a squared is 2a. Remember, we get 1 plus and 1 subtraction. And the square root of 25 is 5. And there you go. That is our final answer. All right. Now, if you have any questions or need extra help, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra Factoring Review. Thanks for watching.